Well, Steve White, Steve White C9. Well, it is the 14th of November 2024, the 50th anniversary of the Amityville murders. And I've been watching a lot of watching the films, but also been watching some of the documentaries and that, like Amityville The Haunting and Amityville Horror or Hoax, which are both on the classified Amityville Confidential DVD that comes in the first DVD box set. Now, some of these are included on the other box sets as well, but the two History channels, I remember seeing them back in the day because I think they were aired originally on for Halloween around the time of the reissue, the remake film. Now, Amityville Horror Hoax does kind of annoy me because, of course, they have the cynics and the critics, they're basically saying, it's all a hoax, and most of the people have an agenda. Either one of them is selling a book trying to expose that it's a hoax, and it's alleged that the guy because it's the wife of the guy who wrote the book, I think Stephen Kaplan was his name, he's dead now. I'm not sad, I don't like him. He supposedly he was brought on initially to write the book about the incidents, and he was happy to do that. He was into the paranormal, it was his business, but then when they found out when they found out that he was selling himself as a vampirologist, they said, yeah, no, we need to keep away from this guy so we have some credibility. So then, since he couldn't make money out of the Amityville haunting, he decided to make money out of calling it a hoax. So he seems to have an agenda, and when he's talking, and I remember this interview where he's saying, I told this guy when I first met him, don't you lie to me or I'm going to ruin you and expose you. And I'm like, that very much sounds like something you've scripted for this situation. That's your story now. There's no way you would have spoken to him then, had that attitude, and gone into it like that. That's your version of this story where they're a hoax, and it just came across as fake and vindictive, and having very much his own agenda. So just seeing his wife, and she just says the most stupid, dismissive things, like, "Oh well, they did a lie detector test, and it was done by Star magazine, so you can't take that seriously." I'm like, well, no, actually it wasn't done by Star. It was actually done by the studios, and they hired a reputable group, like they're ranked like third in the country or something for lie detector tests. So just things like that, where they have an agenda. They're not interested in the truth. They just want to play their agenda, which is that it's a hoax and it's fake. And there are other people who say things that, again, don't prove anything. They're like, oh, well, we sat down, we talked, they told us our stories, and I, who was looking at it as a business opportunity, said, well, that could be paranormal, that could be paranormal, and then implies that they made up those stories. I'm like, well, no, they told you those stories, and you sort of said, yeah, that could be paranormal, that we definitely should put that in that context, because they maybe at the time weren't sure what events were paranormal and what they were, reading into or so that doesn't prove anything either. So no one that criticises the films really had anything other than just like an agenda of, we need to make this not real because we can't handle the idea of the paranormal. It's usually where this comes from. It's like people who need to be in control need to believe they understand the world and the universe and can control it, and there's nothing outside of what they know. It's a kind of disturbing pathology these people have, where they have to prove these things wrong or dismiss these things because they can't live with the uncertainty that these circumstances could actually exist, which is a really sad, narcissistic, vain, arrogant sort of way to look at the world and mentality you have to have, I think, to really be a really hard skeptic of this stuff. Now, I say that having had a couple of paranormal experiences myself, and I know there's more to life than we know. It's scary as hell. I used to love horror movies, ghost story horror movies and stuff like that. I used to watch them all the time. I don't watch them anymore because they scare me, and I don't ever want to attract anything into my life like what I had when I lived in a house that was haunted. There are 2 or 3 incidences which are really terrifying. I don't ever want to have that happen again. I have a Ouija board for the fun of it, but I would not touch it. I would never, people seek this stuff out because it's fun, because it hasn't happened to them. When you've had an experience like that and you realise how powerful it is and how helpless you are and how you can do nothing, you don't ever want to invite that back into your life again. So that's part of the reason why I find this interesting, because I do know it exists. So I'm not one of those people automatically believes, well, it's wrong because it must be fake. It's like, was it real? What was real? Because what their story was versus what the media reported, what the novel told, and then what the movies told. They're all different, and it's like 4 steps removed from reality and the truth. And a lot of people blame the Lutzes. Well, you did this, you said this happened. Like, well, no, the movie said that, the novel said that, the New York Times said that. You know, they had their own sort of... So it's interesting to look at. And as much as I resent the people in the documentary who are the cynics and critics and people saying, oh, well, they moved out of the house because they were in debt. And I'm like, they're in the house for 28 days. They couldn't have got in the financial situation you're saying they're in that time. So all these sort of excuses, they're just people looking for reasons because they can't handle the possibility that this actually happened. But either way, I'm glad the documentary exists. It's quite good. If you haven't seen it, see it. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think, and I'm going to get back to watching the other special features and documentaries.